Ben Carson was speaking at a conservative Christian event, and he told a really baffling personal story that should honestly immediately disqualify him from becoming president.
You know, I did very well academically. I won a scholarship to Yale. I thought I was pretty hot stuff, you know, Yale University from Detroit. I was pretty cool until I got to the end of that first semester and I was failing chemistry. That wasn't so cool at all. And you can't be pre-med and fail chemistry. And we were right there the day before the final. And my grades were so bad that even if I had gotten an A on the final, I still would have failed. That's how bad it was. But the professor was either very compassionate or very sadistic. I'm not sure which one, because he had a rule. He said, anybody who's failing, I'll give them double credit on their final. So you had like that one last burst of hope before you went down. And so there I was, night before, thinking about my life. I said, Lord, medicine is the only thing I ever wanted to do. I always thought that's what you wanted for me. And yet, it looks like I'm going to fail chemistry. I'm not going to go to medical school. I said, so would you please tell me what it is you really want me to do? Or alternatively and preferably, work a miracle. And I picked up that big chemistry book. I was going to learn the whole thing that night. And of course I fell asleep. Dreamed I was in this large auditorium, just me, and a nebulous figure working out chemistry problems. And I awakened early in the morning. That dream was so vivid in my mind. I picked up my book. I started looking up the stuff that I dreamed about. And when I went to take the test the next morning, it was like the Twilight Zone. I opened that book and I recognized the first problem as one of the ones I dreamed about. And the next, and the next, and the next. And I aced the exam and, got a good mark in chemistry. It worked out okay. But and I promised the Lord he would never have to do that for me again.
God helped you pass your chemistry test. God made the answers to a chemistry test appear to you in your dreams. Is that what God's concerned about? Okay, I want all my listeners to understand something very simple here. If a God exists and that's what God is focusing on, I do not want to worship that God. I do not want to worship that God. Because we live in a world, I don't know if you realized, where there's war happening all over the place. There's children who have been killed and displaced from their homes. We have disease and extreme poverty rampant everywhere. In so many places, there's starving people in the world right now. I'm sure as of right now, there are some people somewhere, they're stranded at sea. There's people who were killed in the Mount Everest avalanche because of the earthquake, who were probably alive for like 11 hours before they died, just freezing cold and could barely breathe and just going through the most horrific experience you could ever imagine. I mean, Nepal is destroyed with this recent earthquake, and people are starving and they need aid immediately, and their homes are gone, and there's all this devastation and death and destruction and violent ideologies, whether it's Nazism or jihad or imperialism. All these things exist. And God is not fixing those because we know they still exist. They're happening right now. They exist right now. But what did he do? I like this Ben Carson guy. I'm going to have him pass his chemistry test. That's where I'm going to put my focus. I don't want to worship that God. That God has horrific priorities. That God has ungodly priorities. So if the God is acting ungodly, is that God really a God? Sorry to get philosophical on you, but, I mean, this is a legitimate question. Is it not? And Ben Carson is so unreflective, he never thought about any of these things. In his mind, she's like, of course God cares about me. I'm so special. Yay! Here's the thing. You are not rational. You are not competent. And I can't trust you in a job which depends on empiricism, if you say shit like that, Ben Carson. Because that makes absolutely no sense, and it didn't fucking happen, okay? But if you really believed it happened, you should probably be on Thorazine or Seroquel or some other antipsychotic medication. This guy was a brain surgeon. You were a brain surgeon and you embrace wholly anti-empirical ideas. And you want to be the most powerful person on planet Earth. You want to be the president of the United States of America. But you believe God is talking to you and helping you with your chemistry test? How the fuck can I trust you with the nuclear launch code staring down Vladimir Putin? No, this is not okay. I'm sorry, but the guy should absolutely be disqualified based on stuff like this. I mean, we're not living in the year 1632. You can't say shit like that. We live in an age where there's science and reason and technology. We're not all the way there, right? But we're much smarter than he's letting on. He's saying shit as if we're all just supposed to believe it because he said it. And it's like, oh, it's my religion, so you can't question it. I'm fucking questioning it, man. Of course I'm questioning it. The same way you would question it if there was some Taliban conference somewhere and some guy said that God spoke to him and helped him, become a better warrior or helped him feed his family or whatever. You'd say, oh, crazy, there's a wrong religion. Look at them. They're making shit up. So are you. So are you. So this is, any rational person should look at this, and on this alone, never mind all the other shit he's done, you should say, sorry, exit stage left, you're out of the conversation.